Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you the final checkout video of Terry's wooden wall telephone from Michigan. And this is the final checkout video of this telephone. Now, this is not Terry's spit cup, but he took his off when he shipped the telephone in. And basically, there's nothing that really hasn't been gone through on this telephone. A little bit of everything has been done, including some bell work and even tightening up the little cover between the clapper, and the bells were very loose. There's a different older style transmitter that we had to install. His wasn't any good, and basically we installed a cloth handset cord for the receiver capsule, and worked on the bell circuit and worked on all the inside circuits to get this telephone to work properly. Now, when it came in, the only thing that really was there or worked was somebody had wired up quickly the crank for the bells. So, but that all had to be redid because they just had the bells connected, and that was it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do some checks. I'm going to go ahead and ring the telephone. That gives you an idea of what it sounds like on the ring cycle. What it sounds like on the ring cycle there. Let that go one more time. Go ahead and give you some dial tone here. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk into the transmitter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every time you see that red indicator light, and I'm talking into the spit cup now, and the transmitter is an indication of 100% modulation. Hello, hello. So we know the telephone is in working condition, and we'll take this spit cup off, and Terry can put his on. Now, this is a Leich wooden wall telephone, and they were involved with another company, and it looks like Cracraft. It looks like C-R-A-C-R-A-F-T, and they were in Genoa, Illinois. Genoa or something like that, Illinois. So they were involved with the Leich telephone company, which is pretty well known. So it's kind of a I would say it is a telephone that since they were in with two different companies there, this telephone is probably really hard to find. I wouldn't imagine that there's too many of these out there, but it looks like a really cool mom and pop wooden wall telephone, and it's just a beautiful telephone. And I would assume that you know, being with these two different companies, Leich and this other company, I wouldn't imagine that there's too many of these around, and so this might be a really hard telephone, pretty rare to find. I've never seen one before. I've seen some Leiches, but out of all the telephones I've done, this is the first one where they were involved with another company. So it doesn't mean that there's none out there. It just means I haven't seen them. But if I haven't seen it, it's probably going to be a really hard telephone to find. But it's a really cool telephone. He's got a nice find here. Terry's got a really cool telephone. And so basically, what was in this telephone was the crank, and they had the original bells. It looks like original bell here. But all the wiring was gone, except for what they had going over to the crank to make the when it came in, you could crank it and the bell would ring. But all that had to be redone because you know, it was just a circuit to the bell, and that was all it was. But now the cap was in it and the coil, but nothing was connected. So this kind of gives you a little look at what this telephone looks like now. The hook switch, we actually had to go into the hook switch. Somebody had it put together wrong. It needed to be rewired, and we actually had to take it apart, and the finger contacts on it had to be moved around because it was set up in the wrong position. It wasn't set up for what we needed. So this is a really cool telephone, and what we have here is like what they did in the old days. They have the wiring going to the hinges and then taken over and going inside to the telephone. So it's a really cool telephone. I've noticed that there's been some things done to these to this telephone over the years, and that wasn't uncommon. They took some of these telephones and put different, you know, they would rework them or do whatever. And I don't even know that maybe this telephone might have been another telephone at one time, and you know, the Leich company, you know, might have picked it up and built it the way they wanted it. It's just hard to say what, you know, what the background or the past of this telephone's been through, because you see different holes drilled here for different reasons, and I'm not sure why all that was. Now, even on the back side of this telephone, where all the what they used to do is used to take bare wire lines and run them down through the back of the telephone and come into the telephone, into the battery compartment and into the crank and to the hook switch and everything. And somebody stripped all the wiring that was in the back of this telephone out. And the way we have it set up is how Terry's going to use it. If you can see my connections up here where you connect it on the outside, that's how he wanted to connect it too. He wanted to hardwire this telephone when he installs it. And basically, we had to take, and I'm going to kind of try to swing this telephone around for you real quick. I'm going to go ahead and give you a look at the back side of this telephone. And so what we have here is all these wires. We had to reproduce the wires and go back into the telephone, because all the wires that used to run in the back of this telephone were stripped out of the telephone. So we actually had to go in and run new wires in from our contact post up here at our connection block. So everything in this telephone has basically been reworked and rewired and gone through. This telephone is just a cool telephone. I like it a lot, and this gives you a look at it. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hang the telephone up, and I'm going to go ahead and move the line cord over to a regular wall line. I'm going to take another phone, and I'm going to call, say, a time and temp number. And then I'm going to hang that phone up.
Anytime at 622-4600. 622-4600. Same day approval available. Today is Friday, July 8th. The time is 4:48. Current temperature 96 degrees. Now the weather forecast for the Belleville area. Clear tonight, lows in the mid-60s. Mostly sunny on Saturday, highs in the upper 80s.
And so that shows you there that I just used another telephone to dial a number. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to dial my number.
The number you have reached has been disconnected or is no longer in.
Try that one more time. And the phone will be busy, and I want to shut this phone off. And here you'll hear a busy signal. I'll go ahead and hang that up. time and temp one more time. I'll hang this one up.
Our entire location online anytime at Muffenberg.com. Today is Friday, July 8th. The time is 4:49. Current temperature 95 degrees. Now the weather forecast for the Belleville area. Clear tonight, lows in the mid-60s. Mostly sunny on Saturday, highs in the upper 80s.
So that kind of gives you a look at everything in this telephone. I want to plug the telephone back over into the analyzer. That kind of gives you a look at everything that you have to do with these telephones and all the connections and all the wiring that it takes. And we had to run all different line in it because none of this wiring was in here, and everything was just kind of disconnected, and there was nothing left basically except for the bell and the crank. The cap was just sitting there, and so was the coil. The coil had to be repaired. There was a lot of things. You just have to go through every little aspect of these telephones and repair and rewire and get everything straightened out the way that you need to get these telephones to work. And I'm going to go ahead and let me do this. Let me ring the telephone one more time. I want to make sure that the telephone is positioned. Give you a couple more rings. Go ahead and answer the telephone. Give you dial tone. And then I want to set something under this door here real quick. And I want to swing the front door around, and I want to go ahead and hit the crank again. So it's a very cool telephone, and Terry's going to he's going to be very happy to get this telephone back. This is a cool telephone, and I hope Terry sends us a picture of this telephone after he gets it connected up and hardwires it in and gets it working. We'll throw a picture of this up on the web page because it's really a cool telephone. And although we did clean up the block here a little bit, I don't want to clean it up too much because I don't want to take the patina off this metal, and because that just looks cool. You know, these telephones have been around a long time. They're not supposed to look brand new, and they look better with some patina on them. And when you start making these things look brand new, that's when you degrade the value of them. These telephones were in working condition and have been around for a long, long time, and that's exactly the way they should look. Give you some dial tone. I'll talk into the handset one more time, or into the transmitter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the only thing that you might notice on these telephones, since they have an older style voice capsule in them, sometimes these the graphite crystals can sit there and kind of bounce around, and you might get a little static sensation, but that's not uncommon. That's the way they were, and some of them were a little noisier than others, but most all of them will do that, and it's not a big issue. You know, some people just go like that and straighten it out. This one seems to be pretty quiet. Don't think you'll have a problem with it, but if you hear any of that static from the voice capsule, that's where it would be coming from, the older style voice capsules with the graphite crystals in them. So anyway, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can reach us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.